We pushed for you, buddy, big time. Jerry didn't really want to get into this too much tonight, to be perfectly honest with you, and because him and I talked prior to this, but Jerry, it meant more to you because your peers said you belong, correct? It meant more to you, we talked tonight, it meant more to you that your peers wrote letters on your behalf, the guys you played with.
Yes, Bill. It was a interesting project from the beginning because my daughter is somewhat like her mother in terms of, I want to say bullheadedness, but I won't say that. But she decided she was going to do something.
Wonder where she gets it.
And I'm saying, well, you know, we've been down that road a number of times and da-da-da-da-da. And Dad, I want to do this. And I go, well, you know, it's not really the best idea. Da-da-da-da-da. And finally I say, well, she's in Boise. How many people are going to hear from her in Boise? Nobody knows where the hell Boise is anyway, right? So she can't do much damage. I mean, you know, can't get in much trouble, but there's a thing called social media. Do any of you people know about that? Oh, it's powerful. So she started doing some things like that, and we got somewhere between 40 and 50 Hall of Famers. Bart and so many of the guys wrote letters and were very gracious about their comments and the fact that I should be a part of that group, and that was very positive for me and very meaningful for me. And I think I told you earlier that I would rather have that and not be in than be in and have those guys think I didn't belong to be in. So it was the whole process.
What does it say, guys, and I'm going to address this to Zeke and Bart, what does it say when people say there's too many Lombardi Packers in the Hall of Fame? And that's one of the things that I believe keeps Jerry out when we interview guys from across the country. Zeke, in your opinion, what does that say about the franchise that you played under? And what does that say about the people that are trying to understand where Jerry was then and making decisions today?
Well, it's obvious that we've got, I think, 9 or 10 in the Hall of Fame right now. Mm-hmm. And they deserve it. Because in the 60s we dominated and controlled the league, and there were some outstanding players, and Jerry belongs in there. Pittsburgh's got about as many as we do, and they dominated the league at a certain particular time. Miami did, and you have to earn it. And you have to earn it by winning and maintaining consistency in winning. And we did that, and we won Super Bowls. So we're the last team that's won 3 consecutive World Championships in a row. We beat Cleveland in the World Championship and then Super Bowl 1 and 2. No one has done that since, except the team in the 30s that belonged to the Packers. So that's kind of a unique group there. And whoever's going in there deserves to be in there because they earned it.
Bart?
5 of 7, Zeke.
Pardon?
5 of 7.
Right.
5 championships in 7 years.
Yes.
No one's ever done that.
No. That's pretty good.
When you think about, yeah. Bart, I know you get to ask the question when your guy over there to your left didn't make it. You know, you've been the ear of everybody in the NFL. You got more respect than anybody I know. How did you lobby for Jerry at all?
We have several times. We do every year. I've been pleased to be in front of the selection committee of the Hall of Fame folks on several occasions for different reasons, not necessarily that, but it gives you a chance to see them, be able to look them in the eye and talk about those who aren't in there and deserve to be. And so yes, I have, and it's been a lot of fun.
Looking at the football players of today, the era of today, other than the money, and I'm only going back because I know what training camp was like, as you guys have all told me. Do you wish you played in today's day and age and one-a-days and you're not doing the different drills and running hills and bed checks and all that kind of stuff? Zeke, I'll start with you.
You have to work. I have a thing, WORK is not a radio station. And I work with a lot of young quarterbacks, and that's the first thing I tell them. But, you know, that's the thing. If you don't work at it, we're seeing some problems arise right now in the league. About last year, there were more Achilles tendons tendon injuries last year in the history of the National Football League because the conditioning aspect and the strike and all those things reflected that. And it's not good for the league. I mean, you know, you're losing quality people. And I have a son who's coaching with Jacksonville, and they have a 2.5 hour practice, but that's all they can do. It's being taped all the time, sent to the league office, that they're not working too hard. They have to be in, we'd love it to be in shoulder pads only once a week. And it's like a circuit.
How would you know?
That's right.
Jerry, talk about training camp under Lombardi versus what the guys do today.
Talk about.
The training camp under Lombardi versus what the guys do today.
I can't hear it. Training camp with Coach Lombardi?
Yes.
It was much more like Dachau than training camp. It was a survival process. It was losing consciousness, a number of guys losing their lunch, going into lunch and...
Glad we had this after dinner.
Yeah, we're done. But losing consciousness and losing consciousness in the chow line. Hog Hanner spent 3 days where he spent the mornings at practice and the afternoon in the hospital. It was heat prostration, exertion, dehydration. So he'd spend the afternoon in the hospital. The next morning he went back to practice. That afternoon he went to the hospital. The next morning he went to practice. That afternoon he went to the hospital. So it was survival time. And I may have said something in instant replay talking to Don Chandler, who was a kicker, who didn't have to partake in any of the serious exercises. And he'd come skip. Alex Karras had that great line about the Agaro Yepremian at the end of a ball game. He skips onto the field singing, "I'm gonna kick a touchdown, I'm gonna kick a touchdown." Well, Don wasn't quite that bad, but he didn't do a hell of a lot of calisthenics or anything else, right? So I am telling you that, you know, I'm not sure I can get my arm up to comb my hair, and he's giggling. He's in the next bed, and we were roomies at the dorm, and so he's giggling about my agony and my pain and my whole thing. But it was, last thing, we had a scout from St. Louis who was standing on the sidelines one day, and I came out of a scrimmage, and he's standing there shaking his head, and he says, "I have never seen anything like this. If we did this in St. Louis, half of our players would quit, the other half would be dead." Yeah, so, you know, it was, and when it come time to play, it was somebody gonna pay for July. Now, when we get down to January and we're in the playoffs and things are tight, somebody gonna pay. We didn't come all this way to lose in January. So somebody gonna pay.
Bart, people know that you and I know one another, and they always ask me, have you ever asked Bart what was said in the huddle at the Ice Bowl just before you went in? And I've never heard this story publicly, to be perfectly honest with you. If you have, please pardon me, but just before you go in the Ice Bowl, what did you say in that huddle?